My name is Rochelle Crump. I'm president and founder of the National Women Veterans United. And Happy New Year, because this is our first time here again at CAN TV in 2018. So I want to talk more this evening about the National Women Veterans United. Hopefully we have individuals who are watching who have knowledge about our organization, or if you do not, then hopefully you will learn something about our organization. The National Women Veterans United opened the only Women Veterans Center in the state of Illinois in July of 2015. That was almost 2 years ago. And unfortunately, still not a lot of support for the agency. And it's open to all veterans, women veterans, and also those who are still serving. Our organization is comprising of women from every branch of service, from every war era, as well as every peace or wartime, including officers and those enlisted, which makes us very unique in itself. Our organization pretty much provides general support. A lot of times people come to us because they hear that there's a new benefit out there and they want to clarify benefits, or they come because they are in need of some type of service, which could be because they are homeless or at risk of being homeless. Our facility is located at 7907 South Racine, and I'm going to show you that information a little while, along with the telephone number and how you may reach out to us. And so the facility itself is comprising of a lot of different services, and we're actually getting ready to start our New Year's programs, and those programs are going to be just a little bit different than what we've had in the past, because we want to attract more of the younger women veterans who have come home from Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as those who have come home from retirement and or because they have honorably discharged from the service. And that's any branch of service, and that's what we're most proud about. And so at our Women Veterans Center, it's children friendly. We know that women have smaller children. They also have grandchildren whom they may be responsible for. And we want to make sure that they know that anytime they want to use the facility, to come by our computer lab, or basically if they need some assistance in job searching, writing resumes, financial literacy assistance, that this is a place where they can come feeling safe and welcome. And the facility, again, is open there's no membership requirement. All it takes is just for you to be a woman veteran and to come in and check us out. And so I want to also talk about the Veterans Assistance Commission, because sometimes women are referred to the Veterans Assistance Commission for utility services, or because they're behind in their rent, or maybe there was a burial need, or they just started school and they need supplies, or they need food vouchers. I mean, there's an array of services with the Cook County Veterans Assistance Commission. And if you're not familiar with the Veterans Assistance Commission, then you should really look them up to see if in fact there is a need that you have that perhaps they can assist you with. That Veterans Assistance Commission is located in the Cook County building at Hamilton, 1100 South Hamilton. Parking across the street for $2, and they are in the lower level. And their hours are pretty much Monday through Friday from 8 until 4 o'clock p.m. And they're doing a lot of service for our veterans in the Cook County area. And we have to say kudos to our Cook County legislators for ensuring that we have a budget that we can work with to continue the services for our veterans and their families. And so there is also a community meeting that's held every month. It's open to the public pretty much. However, it's comprising of membership from veterans organizations, even as well as your national organizations like the American Legion, DAV, VFW, but also for not-for-profit organizations that are veteran intent, like the National Women Veterans United. We are members of that organization, and I sit as the senior vice commander for that organization. If you have any questions about that, you can give me a call at 312-738-1060. 312-738-1060. You can call me now. Or if you have any questions about other things that you'd like to discuss other than women veterans, I'm open to that as well. However, as you know, my main focus is about women veterans, and particularly about the National Women Veterans United and how we are helping women veterans who sometimes are in trouble and or those who are not necessarily in trouble but who need information about community referrals and services, and kind of pointing them in the right direction of where they can obtain those things that we may not necessarily be able to help them with. And so we also want to let you know that State Senator Tom Cullerton, who's also an Army veteran, and also chair of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee. They have worked over time this last couple of months working on new legislation for veterans, and you should stay on top of looking to see exactly what veterans benefits are out here to assist you, because there are several things that come up. And unfortunately, I did not bring that list, but I do encourage you to go to that senator's website or go to the Veterans Affairs Committee website from the state of Illinois, as well as your governmental, your U.S. Veterans Affairs committees, to see exactly what they are doing for veterans, not just in the state of Illinois, because of course they are global, so we want to make sure that we are aware of all of those entities that impact us as veterans. It's kind of sort of like us being left out of history. Talking to the women now, we're left out of history because we don't know our services. We don't self-identify a lot of times as veterans, and sometimes we don't even know that there is a archive that holds all of our information to make sure that we're not left out of history, and that is the Women in Military Service for America, WIMSA. It's the Women's Memorial. It's located in Arlington, Virginia, directly next to the Arlington National Cemetery. It keeps our archive records of when we served and what branch we served in. And pretty much if you have photos that you'd like to share with them, you know, because that's something that your family can follow up later on, you know, down the line as you get older and you're no longer able to tell your story is right there at the Women in Military Service for America's archives. So we definitely want to make sure that you're aware of that. If you know of any women veterans who are not connected to any veterans organizations, then we encourage you to tell them about the National Women Veterans United. You don't necessarily have to be a member of our organization. We'd love to have you, but we're more importantly, we'd like to be able to make sure that you have information that you need to know as a veteran. And then also, we want you to know about the Women Veterans License Plate. We created or helped to get that legislation for women to be able to identify as veterans and not, that's my husband's car or my father's car. So, you know, we want to make sure that you know that's available to you, along with other military plates. You know, some are more comfortable with the fact that they have a Bronze Star, and so they'd like to show that Bronze Star, and we applaud them for that. The only problem I see with it is that they're still asking questions. Is that your father's car or is that your car? And so one of the things that I want to share with you too is that the VA has revised regulations on reimbursement for emergency treatment for veterans who go to outside facilities. Now, this is something new as effective January the 9th. The VA is going to update a portion of the regulations in response to an April 2016 Court of Appeals for Veterans Claim decision. And it was because the veteran apparently went to another hospital and he had insurance or she had insurance, and then they did not help to pay the cost of that hospital stay. And so the regulations look like they are in favor of doing so now. And that's huge because that's been a problem for a very long time when veterans, you might be eligible to use the VA and that might be your only health care that you have right now. And then if there's an emergency and the ambulance takes you to the nearest hospital, then what happens is really in the past you've been on your own for that hospital bill, including the ambulance costs and all those things associated with it. So it looks like now they're going to consider those claims, and they will go back to those claims that are pending and make some adjustments, and then any new claims that they get. So that's huge, and that's something that we should share with other veterans. If you know someone who that may have happened to, then you want to make sure you get that information out to them. And also, the VA facilities are now offering same-day care for urgent, primary, and mental health care needs. It's almost like you're seeing in the community these urgent care facilities where you're able to walk in and see a nurse practitioner or to see a clinician there. The VA is basically allowing that to happen now along with the community. So the VA facilities now offer same-day care for urgent, primary, and mental health needs. That's good. So what that says is that you don't necessarily now have to wait for an appointment. Some specialty clinics, as you know, take a little longer than others, and we have to say they are doing the best that they could do because they are aware of those issues and they are making some progress with it. Unfortunately, because there are so many veterans who use the healthcare system, a lot of times they're backlogged, and of course, the time frame for you to be able to get in, or you may not be necessarily able to get in. Even with the choice program that they have, a lot of veterans, I don't know if they're taking advantage of that. So, some just wait because they like their primary doctor or whatever, but know that the VA facilities now offer that same day care for urgent and primary care, which is good. That's really good. And if you have anything you'd like to share, we want you to call us at 312-738-1060. And then also we want to let you know that every year they have the Veterans Wheelchair Games. This year is going to be held in Orlando. And so this will be the 38th National Veterans Wheelchair Games. And they're looking for 3,000 volunteers to help them. And so we want to ask, those who belong to organizations, perhaps what they can do is to support, a volunteer for going there. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but I want to give you our information so you can write it down. So we are the National Women Veterans United. Go ahead with the caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. Great show as always. I just want to get this clear. I'm a veteran, and I have insurance. But if it's not enough, the VA will pick up the rest of the cost of my stay in the hospital?
Now, I could barely hear you. I know I heard you say that you're a veteran.
Yes.
And
Let me say this again. Can you hear me now?
A little bit, but go ahead. Let's try to work through it.
Okay. Alrighty. I'm a veteran, like I said, but I want to see if I got this clear. If I go to a veteran hospital and I I go to a regular hospital in emergency. Will the veterans pick up? I have insurance. Will the veteran pick up the rest of the bill for my stay?
Yeah, that's what, I just got through reading that information. I'm glad you were listening and saw it. And so if you want to verify, because I do have a printout of it, and I was glad to see it before I left the office, because I said one thing for sure is this has always been a problem. That problem has always been about the emergency of a veteran going to the nearest hospital and then being stuck with those bills, even though they may have been a patient at the VA hospital or enrolled in the VA and not had an opportunity to get to the VA. So, I think they're going to be taking these case by case, but there is some legislation that they're updating. The regulations are going to be updated, and that is going to be effective. This says January the 9th. It'll be updated, a portion of its regulations in response. Now, I did bring with me also where it was a Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, and it basically identifies all of those types of things. But you can go online and look under the Department of Veterans Affairs, under the media. If you look under media, you're going to see press releases. And under there, you'll see the press release that says VA revises regulations on reimbursement for emergency treatment of veterans. Okay?
Okay. You know what? It's about time they've done something for the veterans, and it's people like you that get the information to us. Thank you so much for being on TV and let us know what's going on. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
And thank you for your service, and thank you for watching CAN TV. And every Thursday, there are veterans issues. It may not be necessarily the show that you're seeing now, because we're here on the third Thursday, but the VA Healthcare also has a Thursday also. So maybe every Thursday around the same time, you can take a look, and I think they're there on Mondays also. I know there's an American Legion group that comes in on Monday. So just kind of look up on their schedule to see when those veterans shows are. And everyone is bringing information, and that's a good thing, because like you said, you don't necessarily get this information all the time. Particularly, do you belong to a veterans organization? If you don't belong to a veterans organization, I know you're gone, but if you don't belong to a veterans organization, I encourage you to find one in your community, and then, you'll learn more things about it, and then also you'll be able to share the information that you're learning from the CAN TV Veterans Issue shows. So, thank you again for watching, and thank you for your service. And so I want to go back to make sure that I give you the information about the Illinois Community Military Women Veterans Center. It is the only center in the state of Illinois for women veterans, and we're very proud of the fact that we thought to have this facility for women veterans to make sure, number one, that they are not left out of history, number two, so that they will know the type of veterans benefits and entitlements that they're entitled to, and as well as to basically get some of the service that we offer. Peer-to-peer support is one of the things that we do, and basically that is more on the lines of welcoming you back from your service as you're transitioning from military to civilian, to make sure that all your questions have been answered about, where you take your records to, so that they're in safekeeping. Also, we have financial literacy workshop assistance, case management, computer lab, meditation room, also a book club. And we're also going to be starting a fitness dance club. And so, because we're looking at our health, that's one of the major things that the National Women Veterans United is looking at now, is to, we're looking at now our health and the 8 dimensions of wellness, because we know there are several things that we need to always be conscious of, and health is the main factor. You know, so many people are getting sick because they're not following up. I'm guilty. I don't necessarily like to go to the doctor, but I realize as I've gotten older that I need to make those trips to the doctor more often like I'm supposed to check on myself, to make sure that if I want to live longer, that means I got to do things that are going to help me live longer. And so I just say that to everyone who is struggling with that issue. And so we're about to close, but again, the National Women Veterans United, we're located at 7907 South Racine in Chicago, and our email address is nwvu.org@gmail.com. Also, go to our website. We have some amazing information on the website, and that is www.nwvu.org, and that is for the National Women Veterans United. And we encourage all to continue to watch CAN TV to learn more about veterans issues, so that you can share the information. And also, if you have information to share, that we're open and welcome to that as well. Also, check with your local organizations, the American Legion, DAV, and those type of organizations, to find out what it is that they're doing in the community for veterans, because some are more, community oriented than others, but there are some basically that still may be able to help you in some fashion or way. And then lastly, I want to remind you again about the Veterans Assistance Commission. There is a meeting on Tuesday, January the 29th, I believe it is, or January the 30th. On January the 30th at 7 o'clock p.m. at the VA Jesse Brown Hospital on the second floor. If in fact you belong to an organization, you need to check to see whether or not they are members of that organization. If they're not, then they should certainly contact them to find out how to become a member. It is by application, and it's like a $20 fee just to be in that organization, and that basically is for the membership. There's a corned beef and cabbage dinner coming up in March, and I'll be giving information about that, because that is one of the major programs that they have to support what they do in terms of providing services to veterans, along with the more than $300,000 of revenue that comes from the Cook County Bureau to assist veterans in the Cook County area. So, if you know a veteran who's struggling, who needs some services, please don't hesitate to contact the VAC, or you can also look up our organization information, and we'll be more than happy to assist you. If you know a woman veteran, please make sure that you give them our information too, because definitely we want to make sure that she knows all about what she needs to do for herself. And then my name is Rochelle Crump. I'm president and founder of the National Women Veterans United. Have a good evening. Thank you for watching CAN TV Veterans Issues.